There's only 70 days of food left. You need to start preparing now. This is what I have been seeing several places all over the place. Several videos have been sent to me by viewers letting me know that the UN announced there is only 70 days of food left. The world has only 10 weeks worth of wheat left to deal with the crisis, according to Sarah Menker, CEO of Grow Intelligence. This is seismic, Menker said during a special meeting of the UN Council. Even if the war were to end tomorrow, our food security problem isn't going away anytime soon without concerted action. So that is what they told everyone at the UN for a special council, because I wanted to address this to see if this is really true. There's another headline that says, the UN warning, wheat left in the world for only 70 days. If India does not lift the ban, the situation will be frightening. So I decided to do a little research myself and see, are we really going to be running out of food by the end of July like they're predicting? Russia and Ukraine together contribute 25% of the world's wheat supply before the war began in February. Reports say that continuous bad weather in the US and Europe have also led to a decline in wheat production. India has also banned wheat exports. So is the war with Russia and Ukraine going to actually cause major food shortages soon? We're talking the next 2 months here. I went to go look and see, and I found out that the United States produces 45 million metric tons of wheat during the 21-22 growing season. But what I found interesting was, even though they grew that much, the US consumes 31 million metric tons. So the United States actually consumes less wheat than it produces. So here's something interesting that I found. Ukraine's wheat production to fall 35%. USDA's forecast of Ukraine's wheat production will fail to 21.5 million for the 22-23 year from 33 million. That also doesn't include, are they going to be able to get their wheat out of the country if they need to export it? But what's even more interesting is when I went to go look at Russia's wheat production, they said that last year they produced 76 million metric tons in 2021, but that they are expecting a record crop of up to 88 million tons this year in Russia. So it's very interesting. So you lose 12 metric tons from Ukraine, but Russia is going to be gaining 12 metric tons. So kind of like, okay, well, that's very interesting. So then we'll look at Canada. This is what we find. Canada's total wheat production is forecasted to increase by 6.7% this year. So Canada's total wheat area will be the highest level they've had in 9 years. But then we look at the United States and their production. It looks like winter wheat is down 21% from 2021, so that's pretty bad. Soft red winter wheat production is down 2%. But when you look at white winter wheat production, it's up 38% is what they're projecting. But what's really interesting is just a few weeks ago, we were hearing all this news about how the farmers aren't going to be able to be paid because their fertilizer costs are so high, their gas prices are so high and all this. But what's interesting is just in the last couple of weeks, wheat prices have shot through the roof. I think it's an all-time high, but what's interesting is this year's wheat prices and the wheat prices in 2008 are just about the same. When you look at this chart, in 2008, the wheat prices were the same as they are now. And I remember back in 2008, I was getting bread for 39 cents a loaf. Regular prices were 69 cents a loaf. Did it really affect us having wheat that much higher? In 2008, it didn't. It really did not affect grocery prices at all. So we have seen this in the past, but is it going to be different this time? Here's kind of my thoughts on the situation. The world consumes 787 million metric tons of wheat a year, but the world only produces 760 million tons a year. So this means that we're consuming more wheat than we're actually producing. So is this going to be a problem? Well, yeah, it could be. Is it going to be complete famine and nobody's going to be able to eat by the end of July with no food in 70 days? I don't think so. I think when you hear headlines like, only 70 days worth of food left. You better stock up now. This is a major crisis. Do I think it's a major crisis? I don't really think it's a major crisis. I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack. Like my last video that I did, food shortages lie. Guys, look at the numbers. Even though the United States is producing less of 2 kinds of wheat, the 3rd kind is significantly up. Canada is significantly up. Russia is significantly up. So I don't think there's gonna be any food shortages. Now, that doesn't mean that prices aren't gonna go up, that there couldn't be problems. There very well could be problems. I mean, President Biden specifically said, when it comes to gas prices, we're going through an incredible transition that is taking place that, God willing, when it is over, we'll be stronger and the world will be stronger and less reliant on fossil fuels when this is over. So the president has outright said his goal is not to lower prices for you, period. He's already said it. His agenda is to keep feeding in to the lie that CLIMATE, change, is actually a real thing. And they're gonna force you into doing these things, like buying electric cars that the grid can't handle. Guys, I totally understand all these things are happening and that is their agenda. I get it. But does it mean we're not gonna have any food at all? No, I don't think so. Yes, I do think that the government of the United States is out to systematically destroy our country. That's what they're trying to do. And it's fairly obvious. But does that mean that as of right now, we need to sit there and panic that there's not going to be any food on the shelves in 70 days, the end of July, like they're predicting? No, I don't think so. I think we are going to have food. Now, could somewhere between October and December of 2022 prices go up significantly? Yes, I think that they probably could. Right now, have they gone up significantly? No, they have gone up, but we're not at hyperinflation yet. We're having inflation, but you can still go to the grocery store and feed your family for $100 a week. It's actually fairly easy. I have a video coming up that I just did that the last week of May 2022. So it's still possible. So you're gonna say, Tara, what is the point of this video? The point of this video is to reiterate a couple of things. One, you should always be prepared. You never know when you're going to have a job loss, a flood, a hurricane, tornado, sickness, lockdowns, anything like that. You never know when something could happen. So it's always good to have extra food on hand, but there's no reason to be afraid and there's no reason to panic at the moment. Could things change at the drop of a hat? Of course they could, but that's why you're prepared. You're prepared so that if something happens, it's not gonna hurt you as bad and it will buy you time to figure out what you're going to do next. So if you're listening to these people who say we only have 70 days of food left, I think that's a bunch of baloney. And honestly, I think it was really irresponsible of that lady to go to the UN and say that. It's just not true. Now, something major could happen once again, but at the moment, that's just not true. The world is producing just as much wheat this year as they did last year, even though some places are down and some places are up. But you can't give in to panic and you can't give in to fear and believe all these things that you hear on YouTube and the news and social media. You need to do the research for yourself and figure out what the facts are. And the facts are the world is producing almost, if not the same amount of wheat this year as they have in years past. I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen in July and October of 2022. I'm going to do follow-up videos. I really hope I'm right, but if I'm not right, you are going to be prepared anyway if you follow our advice. Visit us at livingonadime.com. We'll see you guys next time.